What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Collider interview studio at Sundance 2025, brought to you by Rendezvous Capital. We are here at Sundance supporting independent cinema and also LA Wildfire Relief Live. It is an organization that supports everybody out there working to help those impacted by the wildfires. So if you would like to jump in on that effort, please go on over to lawildfirerelief.live. Thank you in advance for your support. Now, I have the great pleasure of introducing the team behind Hal Harper. I said it to you before we started rolling. I'll just say it again. There's no world where what you made is not one of my absolute favorite things that I've seen at Sundance. So huge congratulations. Clearly, I know what Hal Harper is. Cooper, I have to give you these duties because you're celebrating a festival premiere. Our audience will not know about it just yet. Can you do the brief synopsis?
Yes. Hal Harper is about two siblings who have a very close codependent relationship, and it's also about their dad. Their dad is having a baby with his long-term girlfriend, and he's selling the childhood house. And they are dealing with, they're going back in time a lot to deal with the pain of that childhood house holds, I guess. That's my best log line.
Job well done. I'll take it. To dig into the writing process now, because I was reading that you were writing the show on and off again for something like 6 years. And I really just love hearing about how stories evolve based on the new things you can find in them, and also how you've grown as an artist too. So what would you say is the biggest difference between how you pictured the show turning out day one and the final product everyone's going to see now?
It started as a funny idea that I had about two adults playing themselves as first and third graders. And it was like just about like their dad made them grow up too fast. And then I was like, where did that idea come from? And I realized I should start like digging into my childhood. So the show kind of came from this funny idea of adults being surrounded by kids. And then I was like, where would they be in the present? And it became about them in the present and them going through changes and going back into the past to see how they became who they are.
I am definitely coming back to that idea in a minute. But before that, I wanted to follow up on something else I read in our press notes. You mentioned that when you took the script out for financing, it was hard to get people to read it.
Yes.
I have a feeling I understand part of this question, the answer to this question, but why do you think that was the case? And what did you do to inspire people to read it and give it a chance?
It was 300 pages, so I think that was why it was hard to get people to read it. And we got people to read it because I think we lied. I think I lied, and I was like, we have offers coming in, and you better read it. And they eventually all read it, and it was all fine. But it's hard to get someone to read 300 pages.
It's hard to make independent TV
it
too.
Is,
I'm going to come back to that as
yes.
well, because I do think it's a real feat to make a show this way. And I love the fact that we see more festivals like Sundance embracing independent television now, which I think is very important. Before I get there, though, I want to open this question up to the entire group, minus you, Cooper, because it's time to make you blush. It's a little bit of a hard thing to articulate, but with every single thing he makes, I find that, he's able to create such like a unique tone, cadence, and warmth to all of his pieces that like it just clicks for me. So for each of you, can you tell me something that you observed him doing on set that maybe speaks to that singularity and why everything he makes is so uniquely his own?
I have something I really appreciated as an actor from my director is, and with his previous work as well, everything feels so real and so lived in. And on set, you're shooting long days, long hours, whatever. Sometimes you get into a mode of almost autopilot acting, or I do. And he would come over to me and say, feel it in here, like drop it down. You would say something like,
Drop it down.
Drop it down.
I would be like, drop it down.
But like in here. And it was like a good reminder to like, you would say, feel it in your body. And that was just always a good reminder that I was like literally acting on autopilot if I was tired or something like that. And
we were shooting like 10 pages a day.
Yeah, but it gave me, it was a really good note and a way to remind myself that like this is a real human being that I'm playing, and to let what I'm saying flow through my body and not just live right here coming out of my mouth, but to let it come from my chest, basically. And that was just a really great experience.
For what it's worth, I feel like I just sat up straighter as you explained that. I'm gonna make sure my questions come from my body now.
Yeah, me too.
I will say, there's something great about being directed by an actor, because you'll do a take and you're like, that wasn't it. And you'll look over and Cooper's like, that wasn't it, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, great. Thank you so much. I feel so validated and I don't feel rushed. And I feel like I can be honest with you about like, that I didn't buy that. And you're like, okay, great. We don't have to do that. There was a day that I had to do this like crying scene outside and Cooper was like, yeah, every day. But there was this one that I had to like sit outside and like cry.
It was one of your first days.
Yeah, it was like the second day I got there. And you were like, what do you need? Like, just tell me what it is and it'll happen. And I was like, wow, okay. And the tears came almost immediately because I just felt so comfortable. So there's something just great about having an actor just know that it takes, everyone's process is so different and just having the space to have a process is nice, yeah.
Off what she said, I feel like Coop just made it like so comfortable for me specifically. And I don't know if it's like our closeness in age, but like, you know, our interpersonal relationship outside of, you know, set and work, like it just felt all like one natural friendship, like even on screen and off screen. And I was going through a lot during this and I deal with that in the show. And he made me feel very, very comfortable letting that go. Yeah.
I love that.
I definitely think that's another thing is I think you, and I'm saying this to you, like, and I'm confronting you about this, but I think Cooper has a really special way of allowing you to be open and then reminding you that those are also your tools and your gifts to be used for the art that you're making. Like I felt like we were able to spend a lot of time unpacking some of our own process into relationships, thinking about love dynamics, thinking about all of these things really openly and honestly in like for days beforehand. And then on the day, be able to reference some of those things, even if they were personal things I had shared, being like, and also remember this thing because it's applicable here. And it was sort of a nice invitation to be able to enter the work in a more personal way. And I think it takes a special sort of person to be able to bring that out initially and then also to be able to bring that back into the work in a way that's respectful. Yeah.
I'm like, what was the question? Well, something that's really unique about working with Cooper, and you guys can all attest to this, is that he is holding so much in his brain and also editing the show like in real time while you're in scene. So there's like a really good trust there that even when that you know when you got it. And yeah, it's just a really loving, always coming from a really loving place of everyone feeling really connected to the things that they're saying and doing in the show.
Beautiful way to describe it. I feel that leaping off the screen in the finished product, truly. To start to dig into characters, Lili, I'm going to come your way first. I've gotten a little obsessed with this idea because someone else explained it to me like this recently. I don't know if this is your approach to the work, but when you start a new TV show, that it can be a little scary. You're on unstable ground, but then you have that like aha moment when you think of something or you do something and you know you have just found your character. Did you have that with Harper, and if so, when?
Yeah, I do feel like I had it before, and I think it was just coming from my relationship, my friendship with Cooper, and it was just getting to know him and know each other for a full year before we shot was, I think, paramount. And you couldn't have put a price on, it created going into it like a brother-sister relationship, and I think so. I felt, and we had a couple rehearsals with Mark, and I remember texting you and being like, rehearsals to me are just so, I'm like, it's going to be better than that. Like that wasn't it. And he's like, no, it's trust you. I trust you and it's good. And but I think just the comfortability, I felt like I could walk on set and just be her, but also hair, like wardrobe helps so much to me. So honestly, just I don't feel fully in character until I'm on set in the outfit, talking to the other person. So it was sort of just, I did feel prepped for her, to be her before, but it doesn't really come alive for me until I'm sitting there looking in her eyes or his eyes. And it's just kind of, that's where you lock in.
Do you remember your first scene?
No, what was it?
You were third grade Harper. And it was like, I've experienced so much where an actor like on day 7 will be like, I figured out the character. And I'm like, what? We just shot 7 days. But I remember your first scene, and it was my favorite thing of the show is Lili playing third grade Harper. And it's just like, you can't even describe it. But that was the first scene, and I've like just burst into tears and was just so excited.
I always feel like a jerk asking actors, like, how did you do that? But when you are playing the younger versions of your character, how do you make sure you're doing that, like, I guess with your whole heart and respectfully, so that it doesn't come across as a gimmick? Because that's a pretty fine line there, and I think you both do it exceptionally well.
Well, like, Lily she just tapped into something. It wasn't like, especially with third grade Harper, not a single note was given. Like, it was just like, we can do it again, but it was just, she was just tapping into something that I think the story wanted to happen. And all of their performances just, it's like, how can we get into that tapped in place? But like, it's not ever, no one was ever in their head with a performance. It wasn't like, am I doing the 7-year-old right or the 9-year-old right? It was just like, this is what the story and the art needs. That's what it felt like.
Really exceptionally well done. For the four of you now, I want to ask you about your characters that pertains to something that Cooper, you described in our press notes here. You were saying that there were rewrites and lots of talks with the four of you to figure out what felt right and wrong with your characters. And Havana, I think even before you said there was a lot of opportunity to like bring your personal to these roles. So can each of you maybe tell me something about your character that you discovered during those conversations that made it purely yours?
We kind of talked about this when I auditioned. We had like a Zoom, but we talked about the idea of what it means to come into your adulthood through a relationship and how you cling to this person as like part of your identity, and the fear of letting go of that, of like how long you hold on to something even though you know it's not right for you. And I've just felt like there's so many times and days where we kept coming back to like, why is Jesse still fighting to keep this thing? And then it was like, no, we know why, because I did that, you did that, we've all had these moments. I feel like that was one that just felt so personal to me, that we got to play out in the character too.
Well, I am a parent myself, and I play a mother in the show, so that was always a really big part of me finding and knowing that character, and like giving Harper the permission to, I just felt like she was like, she's teaching Harper things that she's also like relearning herself as she's sort of in this new chapter in her life as well. But really, like, being a parent myself kind of carried a through line for me in just connecting with every character on this show.
It was really interesting because there was a lot of synonymous things that were happening in my life. Our friendship in the show reflected a lot of my friendships in real life. I definitely am like a leader in my friend group, and it's weird sometimes being like that, and then you have a friend that is as codependent as Coop, and helped me realize a lot of things in my actual friendships. I also dealt with a death. My grandmother had passed, I think, maybe 2 weeks before I started shooting, and so character goes through that too. So that wasn't even that hard to tap into. You know what I'm saying? I just had to live that, and he made it a very, very easy process for me to do that. Gave me my space, and
Yeah, I guess sort of piggybacking on that idea, like I feel like Cooper brought stuff out of the character, like working together, we found things about the character that we didn't initially maybe have on the page, but also a piece of it was figuring out aspects of ourself to bring to the character that maybe we didn't even know about ourselves to bring to the character. So it felt very multifold in that way. And I won't disclose what those things were because that's way too personal, but yeah, there were many.
Fair enough. I'm going to end on one greedy question for you, Cooper, because clearly I love the show, and I'm just wondering now, do you envision this as a limited series, or do these characters warrant more story?
We're just saying whatever you want. Yes.
I want whatever you want because clearly I respond quite strongly to everything you make. So I'm going to say huge congratulations on Hal and Harper, and thanks for being here.
Thank you
sharing
so
your
much.
experience with us.
Great question.
Yeah, that was a great interview.